Cricbuzz Chatter at the end of what was supposed to be day one of the start of a new series. But the weather forecast DK turned out to be absolutely right. It rained. Even when it stopped raining for a little while and they started to take the covers off, you found it was quite wet underfoot. I don't know if you've seen this before. They took the covers off, and on the adjacent pitch, it was so moist that they've covered the entire adjacent pitch with Hessian and then put all the covers back again. So the little pitter patter, the covers came back again. Net, no play today. There was only one person who was hard at work today. He started the telecast at 9:20. He did a rain report at 11:30. He did another report at 1:30. He did a close of play report. And apparently DK is also on the commentary team. But DK wasn't to be seen today.
Yesterday when I was going for dinner, I saw Harsha was with his friends. That's it. After that, I reported to the ground 10 minutes before Harsha, and then correctly when I was leaving today, Harsha, you came in. And that is the last of what I've seen of Harsha.
Because, see, this is the advantage of being an RCB player. You know your ground, you know your conditions very well. DK realized at 9:15, 9 o'clock, that there is no play
around
today.
9 o'clock. Yeah,
That there is no play today.
yeah.
And that was the last we saw of you. I hope you had a good lunch at least, better than mine.
Better than lunch. I had a solid sleep because the show is there. I had to wake up. You can see it is still there.
So, because there was no play, we'll look at some of the events around what has been happening. And the most interesting one, of course, was the announcement that Jasprit Bumrah is going to be the vice captain. Normally, in the home series, they don't bother with a vice captain. The captain goes, he just looks and says, okay, you till I come back from the loo. But this time they've gone through. And I just wonder if that's looking at it further too, saying, okay, when India go to Australia, is Jasprit Bumrah going to be your vice captain? Your contenders were Shubman Gill, your contenders were Rishabh Pant, but they've gone with Jasprit Bumrah, who also, if you remember, was captain in the last Test match in England. You like the idea of Jasprit Bumrah being the designated vice captain?
Definitely for the series, and I can understand even for Australia series, in case we don't have a captain for the first match, nominated captain Rohit Sharma, then Bumrah makes sense. In the long run, Harsha, if he's just going to do one format, then it is definitely a good choice, Bumrah. But if he's going to do all three formats, then I think it's literally impossible. It's a fast bowler, body is always under stress. You never know whether he can play all the matches. But for the moment, I think it's the fairest decision possible, purely because of the fact that he's a senior statesman, he's a genius in his bowling, and most importantly, he did very well. Not very well, he did captain a match against England. I think it's a challenge for him because captaincy is something very new to him. He is not someone who's captained anywhere so far, but he's a leader in many ways, the way he goes about with the ball. So I can completely understand where this decision comes from, and it's a very fair one.
And I can also understand what DK is trying to say here, because when the white ball captaincy moved from Hardik Pandya to Surya Kumar Yadav, one of the things they said was, Hardik, we don't know, given your fitness levels, whether you'll be available for every white ball game. We want you to be available for every white ball game. And I think that principle holds good with Jasprit Bumrah as well. The options, of course, are Rishabh Pant and Shubman Gill. In a one-off situation, here's one for you and your good friend. Pat Cummins didn't play a test match last year, and Steve Smith slotted in as captain and led brilliantly. If it's a one-off game in Australia, who understands Australia better than any other Indian player is Virat Kohli. Can you say, purely as a one-off, I know Virat, in your mind, you might have moved on. I don't know in his mind if he's moved on. You know him well. Can you come back and captain as a one-off in a one-off test match?
For sure. I think he'll be open to it if it's just a one test match. He's obviously moved away from captaincy for reasons best known to him, which he feels was best for his cricket, for his family, etc. But if you tell him it's just a one test match, I think he'll be more than happy to come and lead India. At the end of the day, knowing him, all he wants is to do well for India, and whatever it takes for India to win is what he'll do. And hence, definitely open to it if required.
If Rohit has to miss that game, and Rohit's missing that game, I think it's an open secret. There's a child on the way. So if Rohit does miss that game, you also want an opener. Now, there are 3 or 4 names. I think Abhimanyu Eashwaran is a front runner. He went and got another 100 in the second innings in the Ranji Trophy as well. So there's Abhimanyu Eashwaran. There's Devdutt Padikkal from Karnataka, left-hander as well. I think happier at the top of the order than in the middle. There's Ruturaj Gaikwad. I don't know why he batted 4 for Maharashtra in this game. I don't know if it was an injury, but he batted 4 for Maharashtra. And there's Sai Sudarshan of Tamil Nadu. Can you look beyond these four, or will you say if it's a one-off, I don't mind having Shubman Gill to open the batting in a one-off Test match, like Ollie Pope did for England. KL Rahul slots in at three, Sarfaraz slots in the middle because it's a one-off Test.
I think they'll go in with a pure opener, Harsha,
Hmm.
because you'd have to make one too many changes just to fit in an opener for one test, knowing it's only going to be for one test. Because, mind you, Rohit is sure to get back for the second test, and there's also a good break after the first test. So I would definitely look at one of these four names without a shadow of doubt. I will not burden Shubman Gill with opening, then KL Rahul will come at three, then you'll fit in Sarfraz probably at five. There's one too many changes for one slot, so I'll go in with a opener.
They've also said to Sanju Samson that they want to see him play red ball cricket. Now, I keep following the scores. He's been told that he thinks he has a skill set to succeed in red ball cricket. He doesn't want to restrict to white ball cricket. My desire is to play Test cricket for India, but the leadership group has told me they're considering me for red ball cricket and take it more seriously. Now, every time I look at the Ranji Trophy scores, I look at Sanju Samson and I see sometimes he's batting at five, sometimes he's batting at six. I don't know how convinced I was about Sanju Samson wanting to play for Kerala. He was captain actually, I think, for some of the games
Correct.
last year. But from what you've seen of Sanju over the years, and you've seen him very closely, one, does he have the red ball game? Would he be a left field option?
It would be a left field option for sure. I think the white ball game comes to him a lot more
Yeah.
naturally than the red ball game. But also, so far, it's been a challenge for him because he's batted at various positions.
True.
His team itself, the Kerala team itself, has undergone a bit of turmoil. Now things have settled down a lot better. And he would have to slot in at exactly what's the slot that he's looking to play. Right now, he's opening in T20 cricket. Do they expect him to do that? Or is he going to be one of the middle order batsmen, which is what he did in the Dilip Trophy and even got 100 there?
Mm.
So he's got the skills, but I think I still believe his strength is white ball cricket. With red ball cricket, if he wants to make it to that team, there are certain areas that he has to work on for a start being very consistent and the bigger scores that you expect from a pure batsman or from a wicket-keeper batsman for that matter. So, yes, he is someone who is very talented and it will be a left field choice to answer your question. But again, it's a work in progress, is test cricket, is red ball game.
Mm. Now, Rohit Sharma was also asked about Mohammed Shami, and he said we are not going to rush him back. I feel for Shami. 20 after the 2015 World Cup, he missed almost an entire year. Now again, he's missed almost a year. He's had an ankle surgery. But DK, you know, as anyone who's played cricket at the highest level does, when you come back from one injury, there's other parts of the body that haven't been tested that much. And now suddenly he's got a swollen knee. But India need Mohammed Shami. So would you? He's ruled out of the India New Zealand series. Would you wait for him to play two games for Bengal and even bringing him midway through the Australia series if you think that he's ready?
100% Harsha. At the end of the day, as a fast bowler, you have to battle certain injuries. Ankle injury is very hard because it's a weight bearing area.
Mm.
Literally, a lot of the body's weight goes through your ankle. So it's very different to say a shoulder or a back. It's slightly harder to deal with. And he's been in a hiatus for a long time now. The last we saw him was in the World Cup final, in the 50 over World Cup
I
final.
know.
And since then, we haven't obviously seen him play anything. Now, I would definitely want to see Shami in a couple of Ranji games, at least one, to see how bowling fit is. But the beauty is, he's always very bowling fitter. If he bowls, he can bowl 8 overs at a stretch, 15 overs in a day. All that comes to him very naturally, but he has to go through those rigors, not only to just justify the selection committee or inform them that he's ready, but most importantly for himself, because bowling 10 overs, bowling 4 overs is different. Bowling 30 overs in one innings in a test match is completely different. Your body has to be at its peak. So playing at least two Ranji Trophy matches makes sense from my perspective, for Shami to do before he gets to Australia. And by all means, if he's fit, he's a lock-in. There is nobody questioning his spot in the team. It's only whether he is fit or not.
It's seam bowling country, isn't it? Australia, as it is, it's a tough bowling country in the first place, but it's a seam bowling country. Shami is perfect for that, but you've got to wait. You've got to wait. I thought it was tying in perfectly. Bumrah, Shami, Siraj, Akash Deep as backup, maybe playing a couple of test matches while someone rests. So you had a core of four bowlers. A little disappointed Prasidh Krishna has gone back with an injury. He only bowled eight overs in the last Ranji Trophy game. I thought from his build and his style, he was suited to play in South Africa and in Australia. So you're now starting to look at beyond that group. Are you looking at a Mukesh Kumar? Are you looking at a Khalil Ahmed? Are you looking at a Yash Dayal beyond that group?
So my bowlers, let's for me the three obvious choices are Bumrah, Siraj, and Akashdeep. These three are a
Mhm.
lock in. So my fourth choice would definitely be a tussle between Yash Dayal and Harshit Rana. And that's what it looks like, how they have earmarked.
Mm.
Because if you look at how the previous test series was picked, it was Yash Dayal. Harshit Rana, I feel, is extremely skilled. And I would definitely
Mayank Yadav, take a punt on Mayank Yadav. Look, his we don't know if he can bowl 15 overs, right?
also, I don't think his body has it in him to bowl 15 overs in a day right now. So he's a superstar in white ball cricket, can become one for sure. And I think you have to allow him to be that. Expecting him to play test cricket would be putting a lot of strain on him. And it is not, people think, oh, Australia, when they just close their eyes, they think, oh, it's a great place to bowl, there's bounce and all that.
A great
But
batting
some
pitches, right? You got
great
to bowl
batting,
a lot.
you got to bowl a lot. Exactly. And I wouldn't push Mayank Yadav into Test cricket this early, especially with him not playing any domestic cricket for Delhi for a long time. Again, very similar to Shami. So I would be wary of that. I would look at Harshit Rana, and then you can look at the likes of Khalil Ahmed, who's played for Rajasthan full season, done very decently in the Lip Trophy, and that's what you want to see: people playing domestic cricket and appreciating it, and then expecting to be picked in Test squad. And Mukesh Kumar again. We can't forget how well he bowled in West Indies, but we feel he's dropped in pace a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel with Mukesh Kumar, he is one of those choices that has, in fact, when you speak about, and you asked me this question, DK, do you think there are test cricket specialists and white ball specialists? I think we started out as someone who could do very well in test cricket. His natural length was slightly fuller
Mm.
than a Mohammad Shami at probably 90-95% of the speed that Mohammad Shami has. I really thought he would be the next Shami in line, and he was, by all means, coming out to being one. But the fact that he got picked in white ball cricket, went for some decent money for Delhi Capitals, and then ended up playing so much white ball cricket, has changed his length a bit, Harsha.
Yeah. My gut feel is that if this was a trip to England rather than to Australia, I might have looked at Mukesh Kumar a little more closely. But that's okay. We are not selectors yet. We're just trying to get you into our thoughts. But it's also time to answer one of your questions. There's a question because there's a few reserve players in here for this test match that the selectors want to look at closely. So Mithilesh is saying, if given a chance to pick one among Mayank Yadav, Nitish Reddy, or Harshit Rana for the Australia tour, who would you pick? I think DK has made his choice pretty clear. That DK, your choice is Harshit Rana. I think mine would be too. But here's a question for you, Nitish Reddy. We've now seen him in white ball cricket. By the way, we're not just talking because he's a white ball revelation. I think he got 54 first class wickets. So he's bowled a fair bit for Andhra. His batting average is not great, even though we think he's a batter first than a bowler. Do you think he can play that fourth seamer's role if required? Because at the moment, we've tried Shardul Thakur. You might want to play Kuldeep as a second spinner. Either way, whatever you do, your batting ends with Jadeja at 7. So now you have a Jadeja, you have three seamers. Can Nitish Reddy play that role yet, or what do you think?
I think he's our only choice.
Hmm.
With Shardul Thakur again not being fit for too long, and get the feeling that he's just out of contention at this point of time. Hasn't done too much with the ball for him for everybody to say, "Wow, he's ready." So I won't be surprised if he's on that tour, but I genuinely don't know if he's the answer that we're looking for in red ball cricket.
Because at the moment, what you're looking for is maybe about 12 to 15 overs in a day. But those are unforgiving pitches, by the way. Those are really good pitches. So you've got to be a good bowler. Might be early, but yes, he's got that experience. But Australia is a hard.
But I'll tell you something, Asha. When Nitish Kumar Reddy sprung on the scene, and this is not IPL, before that,
Yeah.
amongst the cricketing circle, he was looked at more as a red ball player.
Yes.
They weren't sure if he's ready for T20. It's just that Sunrisers picked him and out was born the superstar. But to be fair, everybody spoke about him saying, wow, he's a good cricketer. And the white and the red ball statistics which you just gave concurred with what people thought he is. So in all fairness to him, he was looked at as a red ball cricketer, the opposite to a Jasprit Bumrah, who was looked at as a white ball cricketer, but actually his dream was to play test cricket. So it's interesting.
Right. So that's what we've been chatting about today on Cricbuzz Chatter. All because there was no play in Bangalore. Now, when there is
Okay.
no play,
When there is no play,
Play.
when there is play, when anything happens in life, your lunch is always good and you finish with the dessert and you complain. You're the only man in Bengaluru who has a complaint. Please let the viewers know what your complaint is, Harsha. That's important.
And there was no ice cream. because I'm recovering from this new virus. There are many buffets. There is also virus buffet. So I saw this H3N2 virus over there. I said, let's try that also. I've not tried H3N2. I've tried so many other things in the last 2 years, and 6 days flat. So just coming out, so no ice cream. So I said, I saw a walnut brownie.
Can't
And
go wrong, can we?
how can you go wrong with a
They've
walnut
gone wrong.
brownie?
They went wrong. You're not
They
happy.
went spectacularly wrong. They went as wrong as me keeping wickets for India.
Oh,
They went spectacularly wrong with the walnut brownie. So I'm hoping that tomorrow they do a better walnut brownie. You a walnut brownie fan?
no.
No. What? I thought you loved good things in life.
I do. I have only, I like my rasmalai, Harsha. Walnut brownie, no, it's not on my list.
Ayyo. I will introduce, just as I'm trying to introduce him to good coffee, to a lot of good other things, I will try and introduce him to a good walnut brownie. But now, even though he's from Chennai, we will treat him as a local boy because he does two things. One is he has earned a name for himself as an RCB player, and he has earned a name for himself as a weatherman.
Weather.
రేపు అవుతుందా లేదా?
Just is one of the.
I'll tell you one
The
factor.
problem with Bangalore, Harsha, it won't pour like it is in Chennai right now. It
Yes.
just pitter patter, like you said. It
Yes.
just little bit, but it just stays cloudy and it goes through the day.
I'll
That's
tell you
not
one
good.
other thing the groundsman said today. It's been under cover since yesterday.
Mm.
He's not rolled it.
Oh,
So he needs time to roll the pitch also because from yesterday morning it's not been rolled. So he needs time to roll the pitch. So he has asked for an hour and a half after the covers are taken off to make the pitch ready to hand over to the players to play.
Bangalore itself is under tremendous pressure. I feel there's too much traffic. Roads have to become bigger. There needs to be rolling on the pitch. Walnut brownie needs to get better. Overall, I think Bangalore itself is under tremendous pressure.
They exported the road to Multan.
Oh yeah, but this one is a very different pitch. But again, England are batting well as we speak.
Yes. Anyway, so there you are. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit more. So what we'll do is, in case there is trouble tomorrow as well, on Cricbuzz Chatter, send in a lot of questions. I will drag DK to the ground so he's actually present there to earn the vast sums he makes as a commentator. All that is left, little
South
bit people
Indian-
like us get.
Very South Indian one. It is not a major. It's a wow.
Correct.
That A decides how many zeros are there in the account.
That's what happens. That is what happens when we get two South Indians doing Cricbuzz Chatter. So send in all your questions. Say all your questions, not all your questions. Send in all your questions, and we'll try and answer those. But for the moment, I'm afraid the pitter patter that we talked about, no rain on day one, and let's see. Hopefully, in 4 days, there's points to be had. Maybe we'll get a result in 4. Maybe we'll get in 3. Who knows? Thanks for joining us on Cricbuzz Chatter.